More, Ethan. I need more. Claire's face was flushed, her long hair clinging in damp strands to her cheeks. Her arms were wrapped around me like vines, draining the last of my energy. My head was swimming. My body felt hollowed out, my soul a wisp of smoke ready to drift through the ceiling. It was like this every time. 3 years of marriage, and she was a black hole I could never fill. By day, she was Claire Sullivan, the elegant and respected art professor at the university, carrying an air of untouchable grace. By night, she became a voracious succubus, her demands insatiable. I loved her. I loved her cool composure in the daylight and her fiery passion in the dark. But lately, I felt like I was failing. I'm the art director for a booming indie game studio, just past 30, supposedly in my prime. But recently, I'd been making rookie mistakes at work. Yesterday, I'd permanently deleted a critical project file. No recovery possible. My boss's roar still echoed in my ears. Cole, what the hell is wrong with you lately? Your head's in the clouds. I didn't know. I just felt tired. A deep, bone marrow exhaustion that seeped into my soul. Claire finally drifted off to sleep. In repose, she was serene and beautiful, a perfect painting. The strange thing was, after a night just as strenuous for her as it was for me, her complexion was even more radiant, her skin so smooth and supple it looked like it would burst with moisture. Me? I dragged my leaden legs into the bathroom. The man in the mirror was a stranger. Sunken eyes, dark circles like bruises, a face as pale as a sheet of paper. Was that really me? The guy who used to own the basketball court in college. I twisted the faucet and splashed icy water on my face, the shock bringing a moment of clarity. On the bathroom shelf, I saw a new luxuriously packaged box. It was the top-of-the-line facial cream from La Mer. I remember Claire mentioning it last week, saying it was far too expensive, that she couldn't possibly justify it. Lately, it seemed, her wishes always came true. Last month, she was up for the governor's award for excellence in the arts. She had no real shot. Then, on the final day for submissions, her biggest competitor had a freak accident and broke his hand. She'd effortlessly claimed the honor that countless others had dreamed of. The month before that, a scratch-off ticket she'd bought on a whim won big. Not the jackpot, but just enough to pay off a huge chunk of our mortgage. And me? My projects were plagued by one bizarre mishap after another. A partner backed out at the last minute. The server crashed during a crucial demo. An entire set of concept art, painstakingly drawn, was mistaken for trash by the cleaning crew and hauled away. My luck had hit rock bottom. Claire's incredible good fortune and my ever-worsening luck. Could there be a connection between the two? The absurd thought slithered up from the depths of my mind. I shook my head, trying to banish the horrifying idea. I was just exhausted, my mind playing tricks on me. Claire loved me so much, she would never. I walked out of the bathroom. Claire shifted in her sleep, murmuring, "My Ethan, my wonderful husband." A contented smile played on her lips. I moved closer to pull the covers over her. Just then, in the pale moonlight filtering through the window, I saw the tattoo on her wrist, the interlocking E and C we'd gotten for our wedding. It seemed to be emitting an incredibly faint, almost imperceptible red glow. The light vanished in a blink. I thought I was seeing things. I reached out, gently touching the tattoo. My fingertips didn't feel the warmth of her skin. Instead, there was a cold, draining sensation, a void that seemed to pull at me. I snatched my hand back. My heart hammered against my ribs, completely out of control. Hitting bottom, Ethan, you're fired. The next day, my boss called me into his office the moment I arrived. His expression was calm, a terrifyingly placid mask. Why? My voice came out as a rough rasp. Why? He let out a cold laugh and threw a file onto the desk in front of me. It slid across the polished wood and hit my chest. See for yourself. Look at this garbage you've been producing. The client called me at midnight, screaming. Said the design mock-ups you sent were completely off the mark. You even got their company logo wrong. Ethan, this was a major client we've been chasing for 6 months. Do you have any idea how much this is going to cost the company? I picked up the design document. My mind was a complete blank. It was my style, my brushstrokes, but the content was so alien I was shocked myself. How could I make a mistake like this? I couldn't make a mistake like this. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Any explanation would be useless. Pack your things, go to HR, get your final check, and get out. My boss waved a dismissive hand, refusing to look at me again. I walked out of the building in a daze, clutching a cardboard box of my belongings. The Seattle sun was blinding, but I felt no warmth. My phone rang. It was Claire. Honey, I have the most amazing news. Her voice was bubbling with excitement. I went to talk to that gallery about a partnership. I thought it was a lost cause, but guess what? The owner turns out to be a long-lost, distant cousin of mine. He agreed on the spot to give me a solo exhibition. Ethan, can you believe how lucky I am? Lucky. My knuckles turned white as I gripped the phone. My misfortune, traded for her fortune? Once the thought took root, it grew like a weed, choking everything else. Ethan, are you there? I'm happy for you, I heard myself say, in a voice that didn't sound like my own. After hanging up, I squatted on the sidewalk like a stray dog. A black BMW pulled up to the curb beside me. The window rolled down, revealing an elegant but sharp-featured face etched with disdain. It was my mother-in-law, Lorraine Vance. Well, if it isn't our superstar art director. What's with the box? Squatting on the street? Did you get canned? Her words were a scalpel, slicing precisely into my deepest wound. My poor Claire, what a terrible life she has. I can't imagine why she ever saw anything in a useless piece of trash like you. She pulled a wad of cash from her designer wallet and threw it at my feet. Take it. Don't say the Van Cess ever mistreated you. From now on, stay away from my Claire. You're not worthy of her. The red and green bills scattered on the pavement, mocking my pathetic state. I didn't pick them up. I just looked up, staring hard at her. You've known all along, haven't you? A flicker of something. Was it fear? Crossed Lorraine's eyes before her mask of superiority slammed back into place. Known what? That you're a failure? I didn't need to know that in advance. The whole world knows it now. She gave a contemptuous snort, rolled up the window, and the car sped away. As I watched the BMW disappear around the corner, the last ember of warmth in my heart died. I went home. The apartment was empty. Claire was probably busy with her solo exhibition. I walked into our bedroom, the place I once thought of as a sanctuary. Now, it looked more like a meticulously arranged slaughterhouse. I pulled open Claire's nightstand drawer. Inside, among her cosmetics, was an ornate, locked wooden box. I'd seen it before. It was part of her dowry, something she cherished and never let me touch. Today, I didn't care about her rules. I found a hammer and brought it down hard on the small brass lock. It shattered. The moment the box opened, a scent of sandalwood and old paper hit me. There was no jewelry or gold inside. Only a yellowed, leather-bound book filled with handwritten script. The edges of the pages were frayed and brittle. I turned to the first page. For chilling words were inscribed in an elegant, archaic hand. The matrimonial covenant. The matrimonial covenant, my fingers trembled as they traced the script. The text was written in an obscure, old-fashioned prose, but somehow I could understand it perfectly. It was as if the knowledge was already etched into my mind. The book detailed a bizarre and terrifying ritual. The women of the Vance family, it explained, were born with a special ability in their bloodline. Through the most intimate contact with their husbands, they could steal their chi, their life force, their luck. This included talent, health, opportunities, even a lifespan. The more a husband loved his wife, the more thorough and imperceptible the theft. The husband, drained of his essence, would gradually become mediocre, unlucky, and sickly, eventually withering away like a stalk of sugarcane squeezed dry. The book even listed the success stories of previous Vance ancestors. One ancestor married a brilliant young senator. 3 years later, his career was destroyed by a corruption scandal, and he died in disgrace. The Vance woman, however, used his stolen political fortune to become a powerful and influential socialite in D.C. Another ancestor married a Wall Street prodigy who had made a fortune in the tech boom. Within 5 years, the man's ventures all failed catastrophically, his vast wealth evaporated, and he ended up homeless. The Vance woman, meanwhile, became one of the most formidable female investors of her time. Story after story, each one more horrifying than the last. Their lives were built on the bones of their husbands. Their glory was forged from their husbands' blood and tears. I kept reading. The last section of the book described how to identify a high-quality vessel. One whose natal chart shows great potential and innate talent is of the highest grade, and only such a man may be a son-in-law to the House of Vance. And there, scrawled in the margin of the final page, was my own detailed astrological chart. Next to it was another note in a smaller, more recent hand. This subject's astral alignment indicates immense latent potential and vitality. A prime candidate, a once-in-a-century vessel. If Claire secures him, the Vance family's prosperity is assured for 3 generations. The signature at the bottom read, Lorraine Vance. So that was it. From the very beginning, I was the chosen prey. Our meet-cute, our whirlwind romance, our loving marriage. It was all an elaborate, perfectly executed trap. I was a fool, willingly leaping into the snare they had set. I had given them my heart, and they had treated me like livestock to be fattened for the slaughter. A wave of nausea, a toxic cocktail of rage, disgust, and bone-deep cold, churned in my stomach. I ran to the bathroom and retched until my throat was raw. It felt like I was vomiting not just bile, but every ounce of genuine love I had poured out over the last 3 years. The love I thought we had was nothing but a sick joke. I had to save myself. I couldn't just sit here and wait to become another footnote in their list of success stories. I forced myself to calm down and picked up the matrimonial covenant again. If there was a way to steal, there had to be a way to break the spell. I scanned every page, searching desperately. Finally, tucked between 2 pages, I found a thinner, separate sheet of paper. The handwriting was different, a delicate, feminine script. It read, "This dowry is no gift but a curse. She who steals fortune shall, in the end, be consumed by it. Should true remorse take root, one may, on the night of the full moon, use the union braid as a conduit to perform the rite of reversal and return what was taken. Be warned, the rite is perilous. A single misstep, and both souls will be shattered. May future generations of my blood be cautious and abstain." Below the warning was a small signature. Eleanor Vance. The name rang a bell. I think Claire had mentioned a great-aunt Eleanor, who had supposedly joined a convent at a young age. So, there had been someone sane in this family once. The rite of reversal. It was my only chance. I carefully folded the note and put it in my pocket. Then I took the grimoire, carried it to the fireplace, and lit it on fire. As I watched the flames consume the wicked text, my eyes grew cold. That evening, Claire came home. She was beaming, her arms full of shopping bags. "Ethan, look what I bought for you. A new jacket from your favorite brand." She walked toward me, her arms open for an embrace, just like any other day. I took a step back. "The awakening, Ethan, what's wrong?" The smile on Claire's face froze. She was sharp. She sensed my distance immediately. "Is it about work? Don't worry about it. It might be good for you to take a break. My income is more than enough to support us now." Her words sounded considerate, even loving, but to my ears, they dripped with condescending pride and mockery. "Of course you can support us. Everything you have, you stole from me." "I'm tired," I said coldly, walking around her and heading for the bedroom. "I'm sleeping in the study tonight." Claire stood frozen in the living room. It was the first time in our 3 years of marriage I had ever rejected her. The light in her eyes flickered and died. A look of hurt and confusion crossed her beautiful face. Yesterday, that look would have broken my heart. I would have rushed to hold her, to apologize in a soft, soothing voice. But now all I saw was a hypocritical, laughable performance. Late that night, I lay on the pull-out couch in the study, tossing and turning. I had a way out, but the rite of reversal required the union braid as a conduit. The book said the braid had to be woven by both husband and wife, their hearts and minds as one. But how could our hearts be as one now? My heart was filled with nothing but hate. Just then, the bedroom door creaked open. Claire, wearing her favorite silk nightgown, slipped quietly into the room. In the moonlight, her silhouette was ethereal and seductive. "Ethan," her voice trembled with a hint of pleading. "I can't sleep alone. I'm scared." She came to the side of the couch and slowly leaned over me, ready to envelop me with her body and her passion, to melt my resistance, as she always had. I could smell her familiar perfume, the scent that once drove me wild but now just made me feel sick. Her lips were about to touch mine, and then I remembered the warning left by her mysterious great-aunt, Eleanor. "She who steals fortune shall, in the end, be consumed by it." A daring plan formed in my mind. I didn't push her away. Instead, I wrapped an arm around her waist. Claire's body instantly relaxed. She thought I had forgiven her. She began to kiss me, greedy and urgent. The familiar sensation of being drained, of being hollowed out, returned. But this time, I didn't lose myself in it. I summoned every last bit of my strength to stay conscious, my eyes fixed on the E and C tattoo on her wrist. I focused all my hatred, my resentment, my rage, and my bitterness. I was no longer Ethan Cole, the man who loved her. I was a vengeful ghost whose life she had destroyed. If my love was the channel she used to steal my life force, could my absolute hatred become a poison that flowed back to her? "Claire, you thief. You stole my life. You and your greedy mother can both rot in hell. I curse you. I curse your entire family to an eternity of misery." I screamed the words silently in my mind, a torrent of the most venomous curses I could conjure. Suddenly, Claire's body went rigid. Her arms, wrapped around me, shot open as if she'd been electrocuted. She let out a short, sharp cry of pain and recoiled, tumbling off the couch and onto the floor. The tattoo on her wrist was pulsing with a sinister, unsettling black light. The darkness spread like living veins up her arm, quickly engulfing her entire body. No, no. Claire stared at her hands in terror, the blood draining from her face. She was no longer a radiant beauty. Before my eyes, her skin began to shrivel and turn a sallow yellow, liver spots blooming on her flesh. Her long, lustrous black hair started falling out in clumps. How could this be? What's happening? She looked up at me, her eyes wide with the horror of seeing a monster. But in the next second, her expression changed. The fear and confusion were replaced by something deeper, more complex. It was pain, remorse, a soul-crushing, empathetic despair. A flood of images poured into her mind. My boss screaming at me. Me, squatting on the sidewalk with a cardboard box like a dog. Me, facing her mother's humiliation, powerless to fight back. Me, hiding in the bathroom, vomiting my guts out. She felt all of my failures, all of my pain, all of my desperation. The luck she had stolen, the achievements she was so proud of, now became a searing brand, scorching her very soul. She finally understood. Her brilliant life was a lie, a phantom flame fueled by the wreckage of mine. She was the curse. What have I been doing to you? Claire crumpled to the floor, tears of regret streaming down her instantly aged face. She had awakened. A mother scorned the right of reversal hadn't worked. But my curse seemed to have triggered some kind of backlash. Claire's aging was temporary, a sign that the life force she had stolen from me was now dangerously unstable within her. As for me, I felt a faint flicker of strength returning. The bone-deep exhaustion had lessened just slightly. Claire was curled up on the floor, trembling like a wounded animal. She looked at me, her eyes filled with guilt and terror. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know it was like this. Her voice was hoarse, as if she had aged 30 years overnight. Looking at her now, I felt no thrill of revenge, only a vast, empty sadness. Just then, the doorbell rang a long, insistent buzz. Open the door. Claire, Ethan, open this door right now. It was my mother-in-law, Lorraine. Her voice was sharp with anxiety and rage. I went and opened the door. Lorraine blew past me like a storm, not even glancing in my direction, and marched straight to the study. When she saw the withered, aged woman on the floor, she froze for a second, then let out a piercing scream. Oh my God, Claire, what happened to you? She rushed over, helping Claire to her feet, her face a mask of horror. It was him, this failure. He must have done something to you. Lorraine spun around, her eyes practically shooting daggers at me. You worthless parasite. Ingrate. My Claire gives you everything, and this is how you repay her. Claire tugged weakly at her mother's sleeve. Mom, it's not his fault. It was me. It's my fault. Your fault. Lorraine poked Claire's forehead with a manicured finger, her voice dripping with disappointment. Didn't I tell you? This man is your lucky star. You have to hold on to him tightly. Why did you stop? Huh? Look at you now, you're a mess. Are you trying to let him get back on his feet? Do you want him to walk all over you? Lorraine's words were like poison-tipped knives, shredding the last of Claire's delusions. Mom, Claire stared at her mother in disbelief. You knew everything. From the very beginning, you knew he wasn't a lucky star. You knew this was draining his life. And so what if it is? Lorraine shot back, her hands on her hips, utterly defiant. We Vance women were born to live well. We're men. They're stepping stones for us to get a better life. The fact that you chose him was the best thing that ever happened to him. Your grandmother did it, your great-grandmother did it, and I did it. What makes you so different? Look at me. If it weren't for your deadbeat father having a sliver of talent, do you think I'd be living in this house today, driving this BMW? Lorraine's face showed no remorse, only a smug, boastful pride. The collapse of a worldview can happen in an instant. Claire swayed, nearly fainting. She had always believed that our union was fated, a gift from the heavens. She never imagined that behind it lay such a filthy, malicious, generational scheme. Mom, that's my husband, Claire screamed, using all the strength she had left. Not our sacrifice. Smack! A sharp slap echoed through the room, leaving a red mark on Claire's withered cheek. Lorraine's face was twisted with rage. You ungrateful girl. What has this man done to you? I'm taking you out of here today. I will not let you stay with him a moment longer. She grabbed Claire, trying to drag her away by force. I lunged forward, blocking their path. Let her go. My voice was quiet but ice cold. Lorraine looked me up and down with utter contempt. You? A loser who just got fired dares to stop me. I said. I repeated, staring directly into her eyes, enunciating each word. Let go of my wife. Perhaps it was the look in my eyes, but Lorraine actually flinched and loosened her grip. Claire scrambled behind me, clutching the back of my shirt. That small, desperate gesture sent a pang through my heart. Fine, fine, fine. Lorraine was shaking with fury. Claire, you just wait. And Ethan, don't you get cocky. This isn't over. She spat out the threat and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The apartment was finally quiet again, broken only by Claire's soft, muffled sobs behind me. Ethan, I was wrong. Do we still have a chance? I didn't answer her. I just turned and looked at her aged face, at her eyes swimming with regret and pleading. A chance? I didn't know. All I knew was that this war had only just begun. The phony friend. In the days that followed, Claire's condition fluctuated. Sometimes she would regain some of her youthful appearance, but most of the time she looked like a woman in her twilight years. The life force she had stolen from me was a tempest inside her, ravaging her body and mind. She stopped going to the gallery. She refused to see anyone, locking herself in the bedroom all day. She tried to make amends. She fumbled through cooking, leaving the kitchen a disaster. She tried to help me clean and accidentally shatter my favorite mug. The harder she tried to do things right, the more she messed up. Just like me not so long ago. The air between us was thick with a tense, awkward silence. I knew she was trying to atone, but I couldn't bring myself to say the words, I forgive you. One afternoon, the doorbell rang. I thought it was Lorraine again, but when I opened the door, I saw my best friend, Mark Foster. Ethan, man, I heard he got fired. What happened? Mark walked in, a look of deep concern on his face, a six-pack of craft beer in his hand. He was my college roommate and a former colleague, someone I trusted like a brother. It's nothing. The boss and I just didn't see eye to eye, I said flatly. Mark clapped me on the shoulder. Hey, don't worry about it, man. With your talent, you'll land on your feet. Come on, let's have a beer. He opened 2 bottles without asking, handing one to me. Claire emerged from the bedroom. She looked better today, just a little worn out. Hey, Claire, Mark said with a smile. You've got to cheer this guy up. You know how he carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. I will, Claire said quietly. By the way, congratulations. Mark raised his bottle. I heard about the solo exhibition. You're seriously the most successful one out of our whole graduating class. Claire's face went pale. She didn't respond. Mark didn't seem to notice. He took a swig of beer and then said, as if it were an afterthought, It's weird though, Ethan. Remember that big project? The client was this close to signing. Then the other day, I overheard the boss on the phone. Someone sent the client an anonymous email with those old joke caricatures you drew of the professors back in college. The client thought you were unprofessional and pulled the plug. My blood ran cold. I had drawn those caricatures for fun when we graduated. Only one person had ever seen them. Mark. I snapped my head up to look at him. He was still talking, oblivious. I mean, who would do something so screwed up? That's just sabotage. But hey, at least Claire's career is taking off, right? Otherwise, you guys would be in real trouble. As he spoke, he shot a subtle glance at Claire. A look of admiration tinged with something else, something possessive. In that single instant, everything clicked into place. He sent the anonymous email. He comes here acting like my supportive friend, praises Claire's success right in front of me, and subtly drives a wedge between us. He was jealous of me. He had always been jealous. Jealous of my talent. Jealous that I had a beautiful wife. He wanted to see me fail, to see me reduced to nothing. He might have even been in league with Lorraine. My downfall was his private celebration. Mark, I interrupted him. I only ever showed those drawings to one person. The color drained from Mark's face, but he recovered quickly. Really? I don't remember. Maybe you showed someone else. You know how you are. You're an open book. He took a long drink from his bottle, tried to hide his panic. Claire had caught on too. She looked at Mark, her eyes like chips of ice. Mark, Ethan always considered you his best friend. Of course. Mark jumped in. Ethan and I are brothers. Then why did you deliberately send the client his design with the wrong logo? Claire asked, her voice low and steady. The person who had sent the files to the client that day was Mark. The design with the mistake never should have left my desk. I caught the error myself and set it aside to be redrawn. The only person who could have accessed it and sent it out was him. Mark's face went completely white. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out, as if his throat had been squeezed shut. Get out, I said, pointing to the door. Ethan, wait, let me explain. I said, get out. I grabbed the beer bottle he'd brought and smashed it on the floor. glass and amber liquids sprayed across the hardwood. A perfect metaphor for our pathetic friendship. Mark flinched, then scrambled out of the apartment as if the devil himself were chasing him. The room fell into a dead silence. Claire walked over, quietly grabbed the dustpan and broom, and began sweeping up the shards of glass. "I'm sorry," she said. "If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have misjudged him. Because my life force had been stolen, my intuition and judgment were at an all-time low, making me an easy target for a snake like Mark." I watched her back as she knelt on the floor, carefully cleaning up the mess. For the first time, we were on the same side. Our enemies weren't just her greedy family, but everyone in the world who couldn't stand to see us happy. Mark's betrayal was a heavy stone that cracked the ice between us. We started talking. The conversations were still strained, but they were better than the suffocating silence. "We have to perform the rite of reversal." Claire looked at me, her eyes filled with a resolve I had never seen before. "I can't go on like this. I have to give everything back to you. Do you know the cost?" I asked her. The note from her great-aunt Eleanor was clear. The ritual was treacherous. A single mistake could destroy them both. "I know," Claire nodded, "but I owe you this." She retrieved a long, crimson cord from the wooden box I had broken. "This is the thread for the union braid. It's been passed down in my family for generations. It holds power, but the rite requires the couple to be of one mind," I said, frowning. "The way we are now." "I know," Claire interrupted. "That's why we need to rebuild our trust." From that day on, she began to tell me everything. About how her mother had indoctrinated her from childhood, teaching her how to select the perfect vessel. About the thrill and addiction she felt the first time she drew a sliver of good luck from me. Like a sinner at confession, she laid bare the darkest corners of her soul. I didn't speak. I just listened. I could feel her pain, her internal struggle. Meanwhile, Lorraine hadn't given up. She came to our apartment almost every day, screaming at the door, accusing me of holding her daughter hostage, of abusing Claire. One time, she even brought backup several strangers, other middle-aged women who, like her, were impeccably dressed but had the same greedy, calculating look in their eyes. "That's him. That's the man who did this to our Claire. A grown man living off our family, and now he thinks he can defy us. Claire, come with your aunts. Don't stay with this heartless man." They swarmed the entrance like a pack of hyenas, trying to force their way in and drag Claire out. I braced myself against the door, using my still-recovering body to hold it shut. "She's my wife. None of you are taking her." The veins in my forehead bulged as I pushed with all my might. Just as my strength was about to give out, Claire rushed to my side, pressing her weight against the door with me. She looked back at me, and her eyes shone with a light I'd never seen before. It wasn't the false halo of stolen luck, but a strength that came from deep within her. Our eyes met. In that moment, it felt like we had overcome all the lies and the pain. We were two accomplices, bound together by fate, and we were each other's only salvation. "Get out!" we roared in unison. The shouting outside faltered for a second before escalating into a hysterical frenzy. But in the end, they couldn't get in. That night, Claire took out the crimson cord. "Ethan, let's make the union braid." I didn't refuse. We sat on the living room floor and began the complex weaving process. At first, our movements were clumsy. Our fingers would brush against each other accidentally, then pull back as if shocked. The awkwardness was palpable, but slowly we found a rhythm. The single red cord moved through our four hands, weaving, looping, knotting. It was as if our twisted, broken fate from the past 3 years was being carefully unraveled and re-braided into something true. Finally, just before dawn, an intricate and beautiful knot took shape in our hands. The moment it was complete, I saw it amid a soft, warm red glow. "It's done," Claire said, a genuine smile gracing her lips for the first time in what felt like an eternity. Though her face was still weary, the smile was real. And as I looked at the light in her eyes, I felt a corner of the ice around my heart begin to melt. The full moon, the rite of reversal, had to be performed at the stroke of midnight on a full moon, in an open place where it could draw upon the energies of the heavens. We chose an abandoned observatory on a hilltop outside the city. It was remote, desolate, and perfect. That night, we drove out under an inky black sky dominated by a huge, brilliant moon that bathed the landscape in its cold light. The observatory's dome was shattered, giving us a clear view of the stars. Following the instructions on Eleanor's note, we drew a complex circle on the floor with powdered iron and salt. Claire placed the union braid in the very center. "Ethan, are you ready?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. I nodded. As the clock struck midnight, We sat cross-legged on opposite sides of the circle. Once the rite begins, no matter what happens, don't open your eyes and don't break the connection, Claire warned. She closed her eyes and began to chant a series of ancient, difficult words. As she spoke, the circle on the floor and the braid at its center began to glow, the light growing brighter and brighter. A powerful energy enveloped us. I felt my consciousness being pulled from my body, drifting into a bizarre kaleidoscopic world. I saw my past. I saw myself devolve from a confident, energetic young man into a useless failure. I saw my talent, my opportunities, my very health, flowing out of me like golden streams and pouring into Claire. The agony of being stripped bare washed over me again. Rage and resentment threatened to consume me. Just then, I heard Claire's pain gasp. In my disembodied state, I saw those golden streams reversing course, rushing violently out of her body and back toward me. The reversal had begun. For her, the process was 1,000 times more painful. It was like tearing something out of her that had become part of her very being, like carving flesh from a living body, piece by piece. Her body convulsed, her face turned deathly pale, and cold sweat soaked through her clothes. I saw the immense suffering she was enduring, and against all reason, I felt a pang of pity. The instant my focus wavered, the light from the circle dimmed. No! I heard Claire cry out. They're here! I snapped my eyes open. Standing at the entrance to the observatory were Lorraine and the other Vance women. They looked like demons from hell, their eyes glowing with a greedy, venomous red light. Reversal? You think you can spit out the meat you've already eaten? Dream on! Lorraine shrieked. They couldn't enter the circle, but they stood outside it, pooling their power to create a massive field of black energy that slammed against our protective barrier. The light of our circle flickered like a candle in a storm, threatening to go out at any moment. Ethan, focus. Don't let them get to you, Claire shouted, using every last ounce of her strength to maintain the rite. I looked at her agonized face, then at the hideous visages of the women outside. An unprecedented fury ignited within me. Why? Why should we be their puppets? Why should my life be their fuel? I shut my eyes again, concentrating with all my will. The life force that was once mine was returning, bit by bit. I could feel my power coming back. I saw my bright future, the incredible art I was meant to create, the massive opportunities one was meant to seize. This was all mine. No one could take it away from me again. My will became iron. The light from the circle exploded outward. The golden energy collided with a black field of the Vance women. The entire observatory shook violently. A trickle of blood seeped from the corner of Claire's mouth. She was at her limit. The power of two of us could not hold against the accumulated evil of an entire family line. A crack appeared in our circle of light. Ethan, Claire's voice was as faint as a wisp of smoke. I'm sorry. I think we're going to fail. The crack in the circle widened. The triumphant, ugly laughter of Lorraine and her sisters echoed into the dome. It's over. You two are finished. Claire, you are a Vance after all. Your life belongs to us. Tendrils of black energy snaked through the crack, lunging straight for Claire's heart. If they touched her, she would be completely lost, turned back into a mindless puppet, her mind shattered by the ritual's backlash. And I would lose my only chance to reclaim my life. I wouldn't let that happen. I refused to lose. In that desperate moment, Claire's eyes suddenly opened. They were perfectly clear, serene. She looked at me. In that one glance, I saw her guilt, her regret, but most of all, a fierce, resolute love. Ethan, she smiled. The smile was pale, but breathtakingly beautiful. Forget what I did to you. Just remember that I love you. Then, she did something I never could have imagined. She reached out, grabbed the union braid floating in the air, the very core of the ritual, and with the last of her strength, she tore it in two. No, I screamed. The union braid was the link to her family's bloodline, the very foundation upon which the matrimonial covenant operated within her. She had just severed her connection to the entire cursed lineage. It was a sacrifice. She was offering herself to end the curse for good. Arg! The instant the braid broke, every Vance woman outside, including Lorraine, let out a piercing, agonized shriek. They were thrown backward by an invisible force, slamming hard against the observatory walls. The violent severing of their connection to Claire sent a massive backlash through their own bodies. Inside the circle, all the life force that had been stolen from me, now without a vessel to contain it, rushed back into my body in an unstoppable, torrential flood. A brilliant golden light erupted, illuminating the entire observatory like a new sun. I felt like a balloon about to burst, power and knowledge surging through me. And Claire, after breaking the braid, was like a flower that had instantly withered. All the light within her vanished. The stolen luck, the family's protection, everything was gone. She fell backward, a lifeless doll. I broke through the remains of the circle and lunged forward, catching her just before she hit the ground. I held her tightly in my arms. She lay limp, her body cold, her breathing shallow. Her beautiful face had completely transformed into the wrinkled, ancient visage of an 80-year-old woman. "Claire," I whispered, my voice trembling. She slowly opened her eyes and looked at me, a weak smile on her lips. "Ethan, am I ugly now?" "No, you're beautiful." The tears I'd held back for so long finally broke free, falling like hot rain onto her aged face. "I gave it all back to you," she whispered. "Live a good life." Her voice faded to nothing. Her hand, which had been clutching mine, fell limp. I held her close in the vast, empty observatory and let out a raw, soul-shattering roar. Under the cold moonlight, a man reborn and a woman withered became the cruelest portrait in the world. A new beginning. I don't know how I managed to carry Claire down from that mountain. I only remember that the sun was rising. The life force within me had fully returned, stronger and more vibrant than ever before. The price was the woman in my arms, who now showed no signs of life. I brought her home and laid her on our bed. She looked like a peaceful old woman who had fallen asleep. I sat by her side, watching her for a whole day and night. The next day, a miracle, or perhaps another facet of the curse, occurred. Claire's body began to de-age, slowly. From an 80-year-old woman, she became 70, then 60. But her vital signs never returned. She had become a living doll, a sleeping beauty with a youthful body but no soul. I consulted with countless experts and pored over ancient texts. Finally, in a journal left behind by the mysterious great-aunt Eleanor Vance, I found the answer. She who severs the bond, her soul returns to the void, while her form remains. Only an act of great merit, of profound grace, can call the soul back. She had traded her soul for my new life, and I had become her soul guardian. Lorraine and the other Vance women, after the backlash, aged decades overnight. The pampered socialites became stooped, frail old women. Furthermore, everything their family had built, their wealth, their status, their connections, began to collapse with astonishing speed. Businesses went bankrupt, mansions were foreclosed, and their children ran into legal trouble. Everything they had ever stolen from their husbands was now being reclaimed by the world with interest. That was the final meaning of "she who steals fortune shall, in the end, be consumed by it." As for Mark Foster, once my luck returned, his downfall was swift. He was caught embezzling company funds and ended up in prison. My life, on the other hand, shifted into overdrive. In a remarkably short time, I founded my own game studio. My creativity was boundless. Brilliant, world-changing ideas flowed from me. The company became a massive success. Wealth, fame, status, everything that had been taken from me came back tenfold. People adored me. Beautiful women threw themselves at me. But I turned them all down. My heart had room for only one person, a woman lying in a bed, who couldn't smile or move, but who had sacrificed everything for me. Every day, I spent hours with her. I would bathe her, talk to her, tell her all the latest news from the company. She never responded, but I knew she could hear me. Her body eventually returned to how she looked when we first met, at 23 years old. Still so beautiful, so captivating. But her lovely eyes never opened again. I became a titan of industry, but all my wealth served a single purpose: to find that so-called act of great merit that could awaken my love. I started doing charity work, building schools, helping anyone in need. I hoped my good deeds could earn her a chance to wake up. Everyone said I was insane, giving up a world of opportunity for a woman in a vegetative state. But only I knew that the world I now commanded was a world she had purchased for me at the cost of her own soul. I was willing to spend the rest of my life waiting for a single flower to bloom again. 3 more years passed. My career reached an unprecedented peak. My name became a legend in the industry. The schools I funded dotted the country's poorest regions. The medical foundation I established saved countless families from ruin. The media called me a philanthropic madman, a living saint. They didn't know I was doing it all for a single, selfish reason: to accumulate merit, to wake my wife. In those 3 years, I visited countless sacred places and met with numerous mystics and sages. A Taoist master told me our fate was sealed and I should let her go. A Buddhist monk said her soul had departed her body and was beyond human reach. I thanked them, paid them generously, but I never gave up. One day, a ragged old beggar appeared at the foot of my corporate tower, asking for me by name. "Sir, tell me." I bowed respectfully. "Do you still have a union braid?" the old man asked. "I do." I had kept the 2 broken pieces, treasuring them. "The braid is both the source of the curse and the key to its undoing," the old man said, holding up 3 gnarled fingers. "You need to find 3 things. Using the blood of you both as ink, you must redraw the sigils on the braid. Only then can you call her soul home." "What 3 things?" I asked urgently. "Water of utmost purity, wood of utmost hardness, and a tear of utmost emotion." Having said his piece, the old man burped. "I don't know where to find them. That's your journey to take. I was just passing through and thought I'd give you a tip." He stood up and walked out, disappearing into the crowd below before I could even follow. He was gone as if he'd never been there. Water of utmost purity, wood of utmost hardness, a tear of utmost emotion. It sounded like something out of fairy tale, but for me it was a lifeline. Hope, which had nearly died, flared brightly within me once more. I immediately mobilized all my resources to find these 3 items. Soon I had leads. The water of utmost purity could be found deep in the Alaskan wilderness, in the core of a millennial glacier, untouched by man. The wood of utmost hardness was from a species of ancient redwood in the Pacific Northwest, a tree that had been struck by lightning 1,000 times but never fell, its heartwood harder than iron. These 2, while incredibly difficult and expensive to acquire, were not impossible for me. I immediately dispatched 2 of the world's top expedition teams. But the 3rd item, the tear of utmost emotion, stumped me. What kind of tear could be called that? Was it my own tears of regret and longing for Claire? I had tried. I had wept over the broken braid, but it remained inert. If not my tears, then whose? And then I thought of one person, Lorraine Vance. The true tear. I found Lorraine living in a dilapidated tenement building in the city's poorest neighborhood, surviving by collecting cans. Her former elegance was gone, eroded by hardship and misfortune. When she saw me pull up in my luxury car, flanked by bodyguards, her cloudy eyes first showed fear, then a wave of bottomless hatred. "What do you want? Come to laugh at me?" she shrieked like a cornered animal. "I need a single tear from you," I said calmly. "A tear?" "Ha ha ha." Lorraine cackled, as if it were the funniest joke she'd ever heard. "My tears all dried up long ago. You did this to me, and you want my tears? I'd rather drink your blood and eat your flesh." She cursed me, cursed Claire, her voice raw with malice. I didn't get angry. I had my bodyguards set up a large monitor and connected to the internet. A video began to play on the screen. It was an image of Claire, sleeping peacefully. I had taken the best care of her. She lay in a state-of-the-art medical bed, her skin flawless, her face serene, a true sleeping beauty. Lorraine's tirade choked in her throat. She stared at the screen, at the daughter who was both familiar and a stranger, and began to tremble. What? What have you done to her?" "She sacrificed her soul to save me." I took out the 2 halves of the broken braid. Now I need a tear of utmost emotion to save her. I've been thinking about what utmost emotion could possibly mean. It can't be the tear of a lover, because love is mixed with desire and possession. It can't be the tear of an enemy, because hate contains only destruction. I looked directly into Lorraine's eyes. I think there is only one emotion that is primal, pure, and asks for nothing in return. A mother's first love for her newborn child. "Lorraine, I know you are cruel and greedy and vicious, but I don't believe that in the moment your daughter was born, when you held her tiny body for the first time, that you didn't feel a single, genuine shred of love. Now look at her." I pointed to the screen. "Forget your family's curse. Forget the money and the power. Forget your hatred for me. Just imagine that she is the tiny infant you just delivered. Think of the first time she smiled at you. Think of the first time she called you mom. And then tell me, do you still hate her?" Lorraine's body shook violently. She stared at Claire's face on the screen, and her expression began to change. The venom and hatred slowly drained away, replaced by an agonizingly complex storm of emotion. She remembered. She remembered the little baby, sucking on her fingers in her arms. She remembered the little girl with pigtails, toddling into her embrace. She remembered the teenager, excitedly showing off her first art award. The maternal instinct, buried for years under layers of greed and ambition, broke through to the surface. She had thought she loved the wealth and status her daughter could bring her. Only now did she realize that she simply loved her daughter. "Claire, my baby." She reached out a trembling hand to touch the screen, but met only cold glass. Mommy was wrong. Mommy is so sorry. A single, cloudy, scalding tear rolled from the corner of her wrinkled eye and down her cheek. That tear held no resentment, no hatred, no greed. Only the purest regret and love of a mother for her child. I carefully caught the tear in a small crystal vial. The moment it touched the glass, the broken braid in my hand began to glow with a brilliant, warm light. I smiled. At that exact moment, I received word from my expedition teams. The water of utmost purity and the wood of utmost hardness, after incredible hardship, had been found. I looked up out the window. The sun was shining. Claire, wait for me. This time, it's my turn to bring you home.